Israel's bombardment of Gaza may have eased for now, but aid groups say its people are facing severe danger from unexploded ordnance. The United Nations has warned that clearing it from the Strip could take up to 30 years. More than 200,000 tonnes of explosives have been dropped on Gaza in 2 years of relentless Israeli strikes. About a third of those bombs failed to detonate. That's around 66,000 tonnes of unexploded ordnance now scattered across the territory. At least 53 people have been killed and hundreds injured by the explosives left behind.
Nicholas Torbett is Deputy Regional Director for the Middle East and Afghanistan with the Halo Trust, a non-political organisation which saves lives by clearing landmines and explosive remnants of war. He joins us now live from London. Thank you so much for your time, Nicholas. I have to mention those figures in Ibrahim's package there. Out of the more than 200,000 tonnes of explosives dropped on Gaza, there are 70,000 tonnes still unexploded. That is an astonishing number. You've spent over 2 decades in war zones. How does Gaza compare to what you've seen elsewhere?
Well, interesting question, Marlene. I mean, Gaza, in terms of from a bomb disposal point of view, what we expect to find in terms of bombs is in some ways very similar to what we've seen elsewhere. It's not new. What is new is, of course, the scale of the challenge. Gaza is essentially one giant city, and there is almost, every single part of it has been hit by ordnance. So that's what's unique to us, and that's the challenge that we expect to face.
Part of some military strategies often involve using bombs designed to remain a threat long after a war ends. Are we seeing that in this conflict?
At the moment, we don't know, Marlene. I mean, ordnance that doesn't explode will always remain a threat, whatever it was designed to do. I mean, it's worth mentioning that in London, there are still unexploded bombs, 80 years after the conflict. So it's a long-term problem. And some munitions are designed to linger. But what we're concerned about in Gaza is ordnance that was expected to explode upon impact, but hasn't. And just the sheer scale and the amount of it that is across Gaza is a real risk to civilians, and it's really slowing down reconstruction as well.
And you touched on this yourself, Gaza being such a densely populated urban area, city, if you like. Where does one even begin the process of clearing up unexploded bombs safely?
Yeah, I mean, that is the unique challenge. And what people may have seen elsewhere from the Halo Trust is men and women on their hands and knees working through minefields. Looks a bit like sort of a combination of sort of gardening and archaeology. That is a very slow, steady process and works very well when you're clearing landmines in rural or semi-rural environments. It's less appropriate in urban environments. So what we plan to do is, particularly we're dealing with unexploded bombs rather than landmines, is embed bomb disposal teams right into the heart of reconstruction. And, whether it's a local community hiring plant and machinery to rebuild their homes, whether it's a UN agency or a commercial firm, we'll put bomb disposal teams with those reconstruction teams. And they'll be able to either, advise on the level of the risk for each site. And if there is a high risk, they'll be able to remain on site and dispose of ordnance as we find it. So which is quite different to how we've done things elsewhere.
Right, Nicholas. So just to be clear, what you're talking about is actually embedding experts with local communities in the clearing efforts.
Yes. Yeah, and that's really important because the community members, they know where the ordnance is, they know where the challenge is, and they know what they want to rebuild and reconstruct first. What we don't want to do is turn up, draw red boxes and mark off areas that may or may not be cleared for years. What we want to do is really work closely with those communities and make sure our teams are in the right place at the right time.
And what about the equipment, the resources that will be needed to carry out this sort of work? We've already seen it's taken up to 3 weeks to get the bulldozers in just to clear through the rubble. How challenging is it going to be in a city like Gaza?
Again, challenging, but realistic. We're getting a lot of support to get the equipment we need in. And that is potentially, one blockage, but things are moving quite quickly at the moment. A bomb disposal team, one of the things it needs is explosives. The best way to dispose of a bomb is to use a small amount of explosives to blow it up. And there's other specialist equipment to remove, you might want to remove a fuse or dismantle a bomb, and we have equipment for that. But that's relatively small. It can all be carried by a man or a woman and in the back of a car. We do have more advanced machinery, sort of armoured machines for particularly challenging tasks. But what we need straight away is that relatively simple equipment and access to explosives, which is starting to happen now.
So in terms of any advice that you could give citizens in Gaza right now, people around, what are the main dangers they should be aware of? What advice to those people who are returning back to their homes right now and don't know what to expect?
I mean, obviously, it's very difficult because at the moment, the ordnance is there, but there isn't the capacity to respond to it if someone finds it, which is, of course, a real challenge. I mean, it's always difficult, but it's even harder when there's no one there who can respond to something you've found. What I would suggest to the local communities is if you find something, identify it and try and avoid it as much, and leave it alone. Don't try and handle it yourself. Don't try and move it yourself, because although, I can understand why people would want to do that. The risk of death or injury, as we've just heard from your report, is really very high.
Nicholas, appreciate your time. Nicholas Torbett, Deputy Regional Director with the Halo Trust. Thank you.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.